This video is going to be about foods that support the formation of Psmac, which is what tumors hate because the success of Psmac formation pretty much means the end of the tumor. So the Psmac is basically the physical engine that lets cytotoxic immune cells such as CD8 T cells and natural killer cells anchor, sense, and apply mechanical force to target cells, including cancer cells, so the Psmac is critical. So, the location of the cSMAC is that it's actually surrounded by the Psmac. And the core components are TCR CD3 complexes, which are on the T cells. And certain foods and compounds can modulate or affect those complexes, which are the TCR and CD3. Also, other things like CD28 and CD2, and also ZAP70, which has to do with the calcium influx and calcineurin. So it's basically a part of a process of bringing back IL-2 for exhausted T cells, which is actually for a whole another rabbit hole for a different video. Now, the critical role of cSMAC and the center of Psmac is concentrates signaling molecules to initiate cytotoxic programs. So basically, those are the actual programs where the immune cells attack cancer cells and other pathogens. Also, organizes vesicle trafficking to deliver lytic granules. Now, lytic granules has to do with Granzyme B and perforins. So it's like the perforin is like the tube that the immune cell attaches to the cancer cell, and then in through the tube goes in the Granzyme B, and then it reaches into the cancer cell through the perforin tube and then causes the apoptosis of the cancer cell. Now that's critical, and why the cSMAC and Psmac needs to be supported in its formation. So without proper cSMAC formation, immune signaling is weak and immune synapse fails. Now that's really bad there, because the immune cells, they need a strong immune synapse so that the immune cells can even target pathogens and cancer cells. So basically, the immune synapse has to be like anchored, like almost like a bridge, like a really strong bridge, and all of like the pieces and components that would make a strong bridge is basically what the synapse is kind of like, or is the analogy of a synapse, the immune system. Okay, so basically this is how the immune killing works, is that target cells, they have these ligands called ICAM1 and ICAM2. And then there is the LFA1, which is the integrin on the immune cell. So therefore, the integrin on the immune cell, which is the LFA1, transmits tension directly to the target cell, with the use of the actin cytoskeleton. Okay, now one of the main ways that the cSMAC Psmac generates force is with the use of the cytoskeleton. So this basically converts T NK cell membrane by pressing granules onto the target, which would be the pathogen or the cancer cell, with the cytoskeleton, with radical tension, which constrains the synapse, which is basically where the immune cell is standing on. It's like so the immune cell needs the synapse to be able to target the target cell. Okay, there are some foods here, starting with fruits, that can help the cytoskeleton. So some of these foods are orange, grapes, apples, pears, peaches, bananas, watermelon, tomato. So all of those, or some of them, contain polyphenols as well as vitamin C. And these support actin polymerization, which is critical for PSMAC as well as other immune system functions. Also, importantly, especially in the context of this video, those fruits I just mentioned stabilize the cytoskeleton, which is critical. Also, what's importantly critical about those fruits is that the antioxidants protect against oxidative actin depolymerization. Now, if that was to happen, possibly the Psmac wouldn't form or would not be able to form, which the tumor would like to have. Now, those fruits I just mentioned are very important because reactive oxygen species, or ROS for short, or other oxidative conditions directly modify actin or actin regulatory proteins, mainly and especially ARP2/3. This usually results in actin depolymerization. The cytoskeletal consequences would be impaired vesicle trafficking and receptor clustering. Now, T cells and other immune cells, they need a receptor clustering to function. So the effect of the oxidation as a result of antioxidant deficiencies or not eating enough fruit is that the Psmac undergoes actin depolymerization, and this disrupts the anchor. LFA1 cannot properly cluster. Also, immune synapse becomes mechanically unstable. As I explained already, the immune synapse has to be stable because it's like the bridge, the anchored bridge that the immune cells need to target cancer cells. The outcome is the T cells cannot sustain contact long enough for effective killing or signaling. So basically, the tumor knows this and pinpoints this as a weakness in immune attack. That's why immune cells, or I mean, that's why cancer cells, if high amounts of sugar and protein are taken or consumed by a human being, creates acetyl-CoA, and that is what the tumor will actually use. But the thing about acetyl-CoA as a result of high glucose and protein combined is that acetyl-CoA is actually a double-edged sword. It can make tumors weak or susceptible to immune attack because acetyl-CoA supports immunity and makes immune cells more functional, which is a topic for a different video. So, oxidation and reactive oxygen species also affects the cSMAC, which is in the center of the Psmac. Oxidation-induced actin loss slows or blocks TCR accumulation. So basically, the TCRs and the CD3 are co-stimulatory molecules where they are located in the signaling hub of the cSMAC. And the result of oxidation and ROS is TCR signaling is weakened and immune activation is impaired. Now, some other good foods here are also cheese, goat cheese, bone broth, and liver. So these provide calcium and zinc and other cofactors for cytoskeletal enzymes and integrin function. Now that's great because since the cytoskeleton, it is involved in the actual immune synapse, and also the cytoskeleton is also involved in the actual force, or the force that is applied on the, let's say, the cancer cells or the pathogens for the, let's say, Granzyme B or Perforins. But the problem is not to have too much cheese because it is uh, highly saturated with fats, or a lot of high saturated fat that's going to make the lipid raft too rigid, which will indeed end up supporting CD70 on the tumor, antagonizing the CD27 on the immune cell. There have also been issues or data with bone broth as well, which will be for a different video. So that's it for this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.